if global total wealth is 900 trillion and Bitcoin's currently at 1 trillion, and of that 1 trillion, probably less than 100 billion is currently available for sale, then 900 trillion trying to fit in this 100 billion hole is just going to absolutely explode the price of Bitcoin. It could become worth more than everything that we've valued today, just because all of those other assets were already inferior stores of value. We woke up tomorrow and said everyone's house is worth $10 million. Well, there's going to be a lot of people building houses and bringing that back down to reality. Whereas Bitcoin, if we stored $1 quadrillion in Bitcoin tomorrow, a lot of people would start mining it because we still have a block subsidy and stuff like that. But they can't mine too much more. An infinite amount of wealth can actually fit inside Bitcoin, whereas an infinite amount of wealth cannot fit in real estate or can't fit in gold, because if we try to fit an infinite amount of wealth in these assets, we're just going to go figure out how to make more of them.
Joe Bernett is the Senior Product Marketing Manager at Unchained and a respected voice in the Bitcoin community. Today, we explore his latest report, Your Wealth is Melting. Joe provides deep insights into why Bitcoin's fixed supply and unique properties make it the ultimate hedge against inflation and financial instability. Join us as Joe explains how Bitcoin can restore a population's ability to save and redefine the concept of money and capital. He poses the question that investing in real estate may actually be unethical and can harm society's access to housing, emphasizing that Bitcoin will offer better long-term returns anyway. This fact will become more and more obvious over the next decade, while Bitcoin reprices the world, slowly demonetizing these over-leveraged asset classes like real estate. But before we do that, I want to introduce our sponsors, Stampseed, the Orange Pill app, and Swan. Our partners are businesses and people that we respect, and our products that we at Bit Intelligence personally use. You're watching 21 Voices.
If you really think about money from first principles and you don't come in with that, gold-only cognitive bias, then you're going to come to the conclusion that Bitcoin is the better money. The perfect asset would have these two qualities. It would have no dilution risk and no counterparty risk, right? So no dilution risk means we can't create more of it, no matter how much energy or time is spent trying to produce it. And then no counterparty risk means it's a bearer asset. Like, you can hold it in your hand. It doesn't rely on any government or company or another person to be valuable. And when you look at assets in today's world, whether that's real estate, stocks, bonds, gold, they all have one of those two problems, if not both of those problems. They all can be diluted over time, or they all have counterparty risk. And so I think people see Bitcoin as speculative right now because it's hyper volatile. But the only reason it's hyper volatile is because its global adoption is happening so fast, right? Like, over the last 13 years, I think Bitcoin has like 140% or 130% compound annual growth rate. So it's pretty massive, insane growth. And the volatility comes from the growth, right? Like, if Bitcoin was going up in a straight line, everyone would start buying Bitcoin, and then we would have a massive bull market, and then it would get way too overextended based on like how many people that own Bitcoin actually understand it. And then we'd have a massive bear market, which is exactly what happens, right? So if we had 138% compound annual growth in, perfect exponential line, it would bubble up and do exactly what it does. And that's, exactly what it's been doing for the last 15 years. And I think that scares people away because they see that volatility as a very speculative, scary thing, but they fail to actually zoom out and think on a longer time horizon, take the 4-year approach for each halving epoch, and think about what makes a good money, recognize that it's not that Bitcoin, is a medium of exchange today, or is a unit of account today, or is a store of value today that makes Bitcoin a good money. What makes something a good money is it has specific monetary properties. And like I mentioned before, it's scarce, portable, durable, divisible, fungible. If the money has, or if a tool has those monetary properties, it's clearly objectively better than all of the other monetary tools. And that's not like a speculative bet that, Bitcoin is more portable than gold. There's no speculation that Bitcoin is more scarce or portable than gold. That's just objective fact. And so, yes, the speculation is from the volatility, which is from the massive growth that Bitcoin has had. And the objective reality is just that Bitcoin is a better form of money because you can look at its monetary properties. The supply schedule is algorithmic. It's predetermined. No single group can change it. No single person can change it. if you knew exactly like what Apple's earnings per share was going to be for like the next 20 years, you would know like exactly how to price Apple today, and it would probably not be super volatile. No one knows how to price Bitcoin because it's just money, and no one is thinking about Bitcoin as money. And so the adoption is happening really fast because more and more people are coming in and recognizing it's just superior form of money, it's a better store of value. As Bitcoin continues to get adopted, then there's just going to be more and more price increase in Bitcoin, and it's going to go up in these massive bull markets and then followed by these massive bear markets, washing out the people that don't fully understand what Bitcoin is. I think it's probably going to keep happening over and over again until a large majority of the world actually just throws in the towel and recognizes like, hey, Bitcoin is actually just money. We've monetized all of these things that shouldn't be monetized. And now that Bitcoin exists, because it's perfectly scarce and because we have all this immense wealth, a lot of that wealth can just go into Bitcoin. And it's probably going to be a lot more than people even imagine, because right now we're at like 94% of all Bitcoin have already been mined. I would say global adoption of Bitcoin is like less than 1%. We know that Bitcoin is the best tool for long-term savings. And since 94% have already been mined, there's not really a big reason for the people that hold a lot of Bitcoin to cash out of Bitcoin and to sell something else, right? Like they could invest their Bitcoin, or they could consume, buy whatever they want to buy. But like at the end of the day, like if they want to just keep letting their wealth grow, they just keep holding Bitcoin. So I think all of this wealth is going to try to fit in this very small hole that is Bitcoin. If global total wealth is 900 trillion and Bitcoin's currently at 1 trillion, and of that 1 trillion, probably less than 100 billion is currently available for sale, then 900 trillion trying to fit in this 100 billion hole is just going to absolutely explode the price of Bitcoin. It could become worth more than everything that we've valued today, just because all of those other assets were already inferior stores of value. We woke up tomorrow and said everyone's house is worth $10 million. Well, there's going to be a lot of people building houses and bringing that back down to reality. Whereas Bitcoin, if we stored, a quadrillion dollars in Bitcoin tomorrow, a lot of people would start mining it because we still have a block subsidy and stuff like that. But they can't mine too much more. An infinite amount of wealth can actually fit inside Bitcoin, whereas an infinite amount of wealth cannot fit in real estate or can't fit in gold, because if we try to fit an infinite amount of wealth in these assets, we're just going to go figure out how to make more of them.
Please bear with us for a quick message from our sponsors. These videos take a lot of time to make, and we've partnered with brands we trust like Stampseed and the Orange Pill app in order to get the funding we need to bring you these videos every week. Don't store your Bitcoin in cold storage without stamping your seed phrase on an indestructible titanium plate. Stampseed is fireproof, rust-proof, impact-proof, and easy to hide. It has no loose parts and will give you ultimate peace of mind that your Bitcoin is safe and sound for the long term. Click the link in the description below for 15% off your stamping kit. When I finally got Bitcoin, it hit me like a lightning bolt. It was the currency of the future, the only money that truly mattered. But there was a problem. I didn't know anyone else that thought like me. That is until I discovered the Orange Pill app. Suddenly, I was connected with a network of like-minded Bitcoin enthusiasts, right in my own city. The Orange Pill app is more than just a social network. It's a community of passionate individuals determined to change the world, one Satoshi at a time. This series is brought to you by Swan and created by Bit Intelligence. Remember to like this video and subscribe to both our channels for more videos like this every week. Thanks for watching.
If you hold wealth in gold, or if you hold wealth in real estate, those are all melting ice cubes. Like Michael Saylor likes to talk about the US dollar as a melting ice cube, but it's really a lot of assets that we hold today are melting ice cubes. They're melting slower than silver or bronze or shells, but they're all still melting a little bit. And Bitcoin is this one asset that has no energy loss. No matter how much time or energy that's used to mine more Bitcoin or create more Bitcoin, we can't make more of it. There is no more melting the Bitcoin ice cube. It's the ice cube that exists, and you can hold this perfectly unmeltable ice cube in cold storage. When it comes to holding Bitcoin, you want to make sure that you have this perfectly unmeltable ice cube, and you want to make sure that you're not going to lose it. Bad things are not going to happen to it. It's not going to get stolen. And if you have something like multi-sig or collaborative custody with Unchained, you can make sure that the Bitcoin that you have doesn't get lost, doesn't get stolen, and that you actually do keep your wealth in this, one asset that doesn't melt, and you can have it for generations and make sure that you are able to successfully pass it on to your kids, your grandkids, or whoever, or use it to, spend a portion of it on whatever you want, 20 years or 10 years or 50 years or 100 years down the line. I mentioned before how money turns to one most saleable good, and it's the one with the best monetary properties. Eventually the entire world will be there, but for now, an individual is who makes the decision for you, for me, for anybody, and you decide if you want to be on a Bitcoin standard. And just because other people aren't deciding to be on a Bitcoin standard doesn't mean that Bitcoin isn't already better money. We can see that today, right? Like if you are using Bitcoin as your form of money and you're using it as a unit of account and, a store value, then you can already see what's happening on a Bitcoin standard. You can see the prices of real estate falling. You can see the prices of strawberries falling. It's already occurring. It's probably going to be occurring faster as more people recognize that it's already occurring and adopt Bitcoin as their money too. But I think it's just going to be a process, gradual process, that over time, they're just going to start using Bitcoin as their unit of account too. Part of what's going to wake people up or help them accelerate the process of moving to using Bitcoin as money is helping people realize that, hey, your house that you bought for $500,000 a couple of years ago, it may be worth $700,000 today, but it didn't actually go up in value. In Bitcoin terms, you might have bought your house for 30 Bitcoin and now it's worth 7 Bitcoin. So your house is actually falling in value because it's a consumption item, it's not an investment. Maybe you should think about, hey, I don't want my wealth to continue melting away, so if I'm going to save wealth for the future, I need to do that in the best monetary tool possible. And if I do speculate and have investments in Apple or Nvidia or real estate, I need to make sure that those investments have been and will be good investments. And if, Apple or the S&P 500 or real estate is falling in Bitcoin terms, then I need to wake up and recognize that and cash out into the better form of money that will actually preserve purchasing power better. I think the world will be a lot better of a place because of this. A lot of people hoard real estate today. Like someone might have a portfolio of 100 single family homes and then they rent it out to people all over the world. Well, I think what would be good is if they recognize that they can get a better risk adjusted return by just buying and holding Bitcoin. They sell their portfolio of 100 single family homes back to people that actually just want the homes to live in, to have a family or whatnot. The investor gets a better deal because they're going to have a higher risk adjusted return. And then people that are using homes for what they're intended to be used for as consumption items to live in, they get a cheaper home because investors actually start selling their homes. Real estate is actually kind of a Ponzi scheme or a bubble, right? Like you're buying something that's like super overvalued and you're just hoping that it keeps going up because other people are going to have to buy it from you at a higher price, or the market price of it is going to go up over time for whatever reason because other people happen to be hoarding it. But now that Bitcoin actually exists, there's a better way. And since money turns to one, there's no point in holding the second best money. You should actually cash out of your real estate as soon as possible. And I think the world would be like a much better place if that actually does happen. I think it will. I think it's happening right now. And that's like the whole concept of Adam Smith's invisible hand of free markets and capitalism, where when there are the right tools at disposal, you as an individual acting in your own self-interest is actually going to be the most beneficial for the entire world, rather than trying to centrally plan the money or centrally plan a government or centrally plan an economic system around, one person's perfect idea of the world. You just let people act in their own self-interest, and because of this idea of the invisible hand in free markets, that actually benefits everybody in a really big way in the long run. It's going to be great to demonetize real estate. It's going to be great to demonetize a lot of assets that shouldn't really be monetized.
Bitcoin fundamentally shifts its financial incentives from spending to saving, from consumption to conservation. Joe explains how the perfect asset is one that fulfills the most monetary properties. Historically, this has been gold, but today it's objectively Bitcoin. He reminds us that societies tend to converge on a single form of money, and without a proper savings vehicle, we've monetized assets that shouldn't be monetized. Imagine if a house depreciated like a car, another consumption item. As a car ages, it loses value due to wear and tear, with only special models maintaining their worth. Although not all houses depreciate at the same rate, both cars and houses are likely to naturally depreciate over time against Bitcoin, highlighting the superiority of Bitcoin as a store of value. Stay tuned and remember to subscribe for the latest recaps, insights, and films about all things Bitcoin. This is 21 Voices. If you want to watch another episode, try this one here.